at the office minute, but Mark's out chasing something down. If I get out of here in time, I'll pick it up if he's got it. So, but it is what it is.
We're ready.
Okay, let's call this meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Jay,
Yes?
Tanya, Wendy,
Yes.
Cole, Sarah, Christy, Al,
Present.
Jan, John.
John, did you want to do introductions as well, or is the roll call good enough?
I'm just always curious who's not here.
Okay.
Agenda has been provided. Is there any additions or corrections to it, ladies? Then let's have a motion to approve as presented.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded that the agenda be approved as presented. Discussion on the motion. Hearing none. I assume you're ready to vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Minutes of the previous meeting were also provided. Are there any additions or corrections to those minutes? If not, a motion to approve is in order.
I approve. I'll make a motion. I'll second.
Moved and seconded that the minutes of the previous meeting be approved as presented. Did you note who they were, folks? Okay. Discussion on the motion. Hearing none, I assume you're ready to vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Emergency preparedness.
Aye.
There was a packet in the information there.
No attachment.
No packet?
No attachment, no.
Okay. I thought there was.
So I attended the South Dakota Healthcare Coalition annual meeting. It happened to be in Mitchell, and they invited me to attend as a transportation provider. It was very interesting to hear about all the different healthcare providers across the state and how they need to be prepared for emergencies. As you know, we all went through COVID and how things have changed with that. The presenter also talked about emergency evacuations for natural disasters such as tornadoes, hurricanes, all that stuff as well. And of course, we're getting to that time, tornado season again. I was the only transportation provider there, was able to give some insight on that as well. And the biggest thing they stressed was having an MOU, a memorandum of understanding with different providers to how do we evacuate, what do we need to evacuate. One thing they also talked about is not only buses, but you'll need maybe some trucks to load your equipment, your beds, the machines, and all of that as well, along to wherever you might need to go, along with medications and that. So one thing that we are working with is, we talked about meals as well, as what do we need to do for meals. Maybe that's something we could provide and do along with them. So we're just waiting to see if any healthcare providers reach out to us and see if there is a need for an MOU for our community. But I was there to spread knowledge and make a connection with transit nutrition with this program. Were you at that? No?
You're working with the county emergency management folks too as well, I assume?
Yep, we've already established times with that, filled out paperwork with them, and that's one we had for a long time.
Yeah. That I was pretty sure that was going on for,
The only MOU I've ever had with a healthcare provider was DaVita Dialysis. They're the only ones that have set anything up with us, and they're no longer here, so.
anything else? Anybody got any questions for the ladies or whatever? Keep up the good work. Going to get some new software?
Well, good news. We have been approved to do our procurement for the new software. Of course, we were approved. We received the grant money for this. We also received it's in our budget for this year for new software. We did our procurements. We followed the procurement policy. And in the packet, you'll see the dispatch software procurement information. And in that information, this is what we had to provide to the state to see why this is necessary for us to do the procurement process. Also, with the procurement process, they also talked about an ICE. It's an individual cost estimate. So we reached out to different transit providers that have gone through the process of getting quotes and information from different software companies. So we did our ICE. North Dakota was probably the most helpful because they just went through this process of trying to procure new software. So we got a bunch of quotes, and the state did approve for us to do, we were going to do an RFP, request for proposals, but because in our procurement policy, according to the state requirements, if the threshold fell under the RFP requirements, so we can now go for a quote and do it as a micro purchase. So we don't have to go through the whole RFP process. We can do the micro purchase and get quotes. So we are currently working on getting our points, our bid tabs figured out, and then we will send that out to the different software companies, and hopefully we'll come back with a good low bid. And if we don't come back with a good low bid, we will have to reject all bids and then go through the RFP process.
Any coordination with other surrounding areas on that kind of stuff?
Yes, we're working close with People's Transit in Huron.
Yeah.
The rest of the state uses the Shaw software that we currently are using, except for Spearfish, they use a different software.
Okay. Any questions? Let's go on to the 5311.
There is no attachment for this, but I did want to give you an update. The Transit 5311 grant application is our annual operating and administrative funds that we receive every year. Things have changed. The due date is sooner. It's now due June 3rd. It's due sooner than normal, but we're working on that. And the other thing that's changed is we used to do a paper application, essentially. The state has received new software called Black Cat, and we have to input everything into that software before we apply. What I need from you today is approval to apply for the 53 grant application, and then we'll also bring it to City Hall for approval to apply for the 53 grant application. Like I said, this is our annual operating and administrative funds to run transit.
Do I hear a motion?
I make the motion.
And a second.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded? You got those two? Shall we go roll call? I think we probably should, so the council knows that we're all,
Jay,
yes.
Wendy, yes. Cole,
Yes.
Sarah,
Yes.
Christy,
Yes.
Al,
Yes.
and Jan.
Yes.
All right. I know they like to have us at the planning commission. You guys like to have us have yep, so. All right, let's go on to the Title 3B.
So Title 3B is funding we receive. It's the Older Americans Act, OAA funding, that we receive for the nutrition program and for the transit program. We have met with the new people at the state. They are learning the ropes on what is going on with this funding, but we wanted to update you and let you know that the OAA, Older Americans Act, final rule compliance is coming out. Excuse me, it's coming out in October of 2025. So as of now, we're running in compliance, but there's these new regulations and there's going to be new prioritizations coming out in October of 2025. So we'll have to probably adjust some things with how we're getting the funding and what we're looking for, but just wanted to give you an update on that.
Ever had any issues with meeting the compliance requirements?
No.
Didn't think so, but need to ask.
Yep.
All right, let's go on to the next item.
New hires. We are very close to having a full staff, I think. We hired Kevin as a new full-time driver. We had a resignation, and he was a part-timer, and he came on full-time, so that was nice to fill that. We also hired then we hired another 30-hour part-time, which the position he was in is now filled with Teresa is her name. And we've also hired some new part-time drivers. We hired Jeff and Jordan, and we have one more that we are doing the background check for. So we should be fully staffed on the transit side real shortly. And then in nutrition, we had an opening for a site coordinator at Cathedral Squares. And Diane, another Diane, is filling that position. So we will have two ladies named Diane serving at Cathedral Squares.
A question for my curiosity on the bus drivers. They have to be CDL
Correct.
approved, don't they?
Correct.
Yeah.
They have to go through this, you have to have a Class C CDL with passenger endorsements, and they have to have the DOT physical.
Yep.
Yes.
Did you not reduce your hours of operation with the transit because of lack of personnel? And are you planning to expand those back to what they were, or?
We did, but they've already been expanded back.
Oh, okay.
Yep. We are running Monday through Friday, 5:30 a.m. to 8 p.m., Saturday, 7 a.m. to 4 p.m., and Sunday, 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. It was nice to get our Sunday operations back, and we're so busy on Sundays, we actually operate two drivers. We used to do just one, but we have two drivers on Saturday and Sunday,
So what was your Saturday hours?
7 a.m. to 4 p.m.,
And Sunday?
and Sunday is 7 a.m. to 2 p.m.
And do you charge more on those busy days, or is it rate the same?
So the rates are $2 Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Before and after that, and on weekends is $3. And then if it's a same-day ride, it's $10.
Other questions or comments? United Way, what's going on there, folks?
We submitted our applications. The United Way went through a new process for their applications. I don't know how many of you else had to do that, but it was a new way to do it. It was great. We enjoyed how we had to fill out the grant applications. And then I wanted to let you know that we were chosen to do an agency interview presentation, and that will be on Wednesday, May 22nd. And it'll be just for the Mitchell Volunteer Program. They're not going to interview for the other. We applied for James Valley Community Center, the Mitchell Volunteer Program, and the Adult Nutrition Program. We only have to be interviewed for the Mitchell Volunteer Program, and they try to rotate that every year.
Anything that you need us to do? Okay, just be aware.
Yep.
All right. Nutrition amendment.
So we received an email from the state informing us that we were running low on our meal funds, our congregate meal funds for nutrition. The last payment we would have received, according to our grant, would have been in April. So that would have left us with just May short. So we applied for an amendment to our nutrition agreement. And we waited, so we had the right information. But it said with our current contract, we have approximately $25,897 left for the months of April and May. Those months, if we keep the current pace of meals served, we would need an additional $15,000 to serve those 3,348 meals, as we have in our projections. So we submitted that information with some reports to the state, and they did grant us an amendment. And we asked for the $15,000. They granted us amendment for $14,998.84. So
So we're good to go.
we are good.
Yeah. Sounds like something the state would do.
$1.26, please.
Any other comments or questions on that section?
And we didn't have it in the attachment because I just got this a couple days ago.
Nutrition contract, how's that going?
So our grant application was different, as I stated before. We went through a whole new process of how to apply for this grant, but we just got awarded the contract this morning. It was in my email, so I have a new contract for the next fiscal year. The fiscal year is different, as I stated before. We used to run from June till the end of May. This contract is for June through the end of September, and then they'll run on the federal fiscal year the same as we do for transit, which will be October 1st through September 30th. So this will be a longer contract than normal. With the information that we submitted, they approved us for a total of $331,677.87. I like that 80-some cents, don't they?
They're to the penny.
Yeah. So that's what they awarded us, as you can see in the attachment. That was the email that they provided to us, but I did have the final agreement, and that money is broken down by $303,459.20 will be provided by the state, with a match from our local entity of $28,218.67 for that total of $331,677.81. That's currently what we received, and it is an increase of about just over 10 cents a meal.
Sounds like they're moving to the federal fiscal year rather
Correct.
than,
Correct, than their own fiscal year that they
Yeah.
were doing. I don't know where that date came from or how that ever started, but it'll be nice to be on the same fiscal year, because right now I have 1, 2, 3, 4 fiscal years we're dealing with, so this will get rid of one more.
yeah. The state, are they aggravating you with the federal, or are they playing ball with the feds too?
We don't know.
You don't know? Okay,
With transit,
yeah,
they're working well, there are no issues. Nutrition, we're not quite sure.
yeah, okay. I know in a previous life, that was a problem sometimes.
Yes.
Anything else that anybody wants to ask or comment on? Let's go on to the next one then, the nutrition meeting.
We finally had a nutrition providers, South Dakota Nutrition Providers meeting. Last one was held in December of 2019 with the intent to meet in April of 2020 again. Well, we all know what happened in March, April 2020. We haven't had a meeting. So we went all those years without meeting. It was a great time for all the nutrition providers across the state to meet, go over everything. Some of the things we talked about was the LTSS, that's the Long-Term Services and Supports. They're the ones that provide our funding through the Department of Human Services. The rate study they just went through. They hired Guidehouse, a separate company, to do a rate study for their programs, which includes the nursing homes, the independent living, the adult daycares, and the nutrition program. When they went through this rate study, it wasn't very well divulged into the nutrition side of things. And we have to be proactive in what we're doing to make sure we're not getting what they found is we need to be reimbursed at a rate of $8 to $9 a meal, which we're not getting. We're getting $4.50 or
$4.48.
yeah, so close to $4.50 a meal. But it was suggested that they pay us $3.50 a meal, even though we need the $8 to $9 per meal. So we're working with the state on that, making sure we don't get our budgets cut, because if budgets get cut like that, everybody across the state is going to have to cut services. We won't be able to provide the much needed meals that we are providing to the public. I mean, it's a huge need, but we can't afford it at that price point. So to go along with that, our organization talked about getting a lobbyist to make sure that these things don't happen and to go to the state, because technically we need another $6 million to fully fund our programs. The nutrition program is struggling on funding, and the $6 million is what's needed from the state to provide us at full capacity. So that's one thing that we talked about, is getting a lobbyist and doing something like that. George from Rapid City has a contact for possible grant funds that could help pay for this lobbyist to help get this funding. So that's one thing that we're looking at. I just wanted to update you all and let you know that this is what we're working on.
Let me interrupt you a minute. Lobbyists, is that going after the state, or are you going to DC for,
The state.
okay.
Because another thing we're also trying to figure out is in these contracts, this year, of course, we ran short on money. We had asked for an amendment. But there's several years where we don't meet the contracted amount they're supposed to give us because we didn't serve enough meals. Where does that money go? What is the state doing with that money that's not being sent out to the nutrition providers?
Good luck on figuring that one out.
So that's our biggest thing, is trying to figure out where's this extra money and why aren't we getting it to provide these services? So that's kind of another thing that we talked about. One more thing we talked about was in our new agreements, there is some contract changes, and we went over what all those contract changes were and making sure that we're in compliance. But there's some interesting things in there.
Other questions or comments? Let's go on to the next one.
Cole, do you want to be our lobbyist?
What's that?
Do you want to be our lobbyist?
Put them on the spot.
I'll consent.
Okay.
I'll kind of steer away from politics.
Check with the water folks. They might have some people that have experience.
I love it with everything that's going on that you bring up the water folks.
Yeah. Yep. Been there, done that. What we need to do, or what these agencies need to do, is they need to do like back 20 years ago, convince the legislature to earmark some money
Right.
for a particular thing, which is very, very seldom done in South Dakota.
Right.
And I'm not sure that there are people in the legislature that knows certain types of tax money are going for water development. It's still there.
We're still missing, we're going to miss Lance Koch. He's going to be a big loss because he was on the appropriations committee and was very helpful on a lot of things that we needed for our program. So it's going to be a huge loss in our area for that.
Yeah. But like I said, I know there's water funds being taxed that is going into a fund that the legislature doesn't control anymore.
Right. Right.
Go ahead, please.
That's all I have on the nutrition meeting. Next one?
Yep.
Okay, nutrition audit. In your packet, you can see that we went through an audit recently with the nutrition program. It was a new process that they've never done and we've never done before, but we were able to provide all the information. Thanks to the help of Wanda in our office and Amy, we figured out all the information they needed, and there's the letter saying that everything has been processed and complete. We're good to go. And we also, at the same time, had the city auditors here. And the city auditors were really impressed with how organized and easy it was to find the information they needed.
Good. Parks and Site.
I'll let you talk about that one.
Parkston site, well, we have some issues with Parkston. She had sold the business over time, and the new owner was going to keep going with the program. And then at the last minute, that fell through. So then she had no cooks for the program. So for a short time, it was kind of off and on. They cooked Monday, Tuesday, maybe not Wednesday, Thursday, whatnot. She finally got a full-time cook, so we're finally back on Monday through Friday in Parkston.
Questions? Let's go on to James Valley Community Center Bingo Board.
For those of you that would come over and play bingo, you've noticed that our flash board is gone because, as I've said before, it's obsolete, it's dead, it's gone. So we have a temporary fix right now. We have the board, the table, I should say, hooked up to our TV, It's smaller, it's harder to read, but it's something to get us by for the meantime. We are working on getting the purchase for a new bingo, not the table itself, but the actual computer itself, because the actual computer is really old. Was it like Windows XP? I mean, that's that old. What's that really bad Windows program? Feels like Vista or something like that. Feels like it's something like that. But anyway, we need to replace the computer and monitor. To replace that, we have a quote of $2,861.35. We have currently $890.77 in reserve funds that we can apply towards that. But we will have to ask City Council for supplement funds to replace the bingo board in about $2,000. It will be a little bit more than that because they're still waiting for quotes to either have a couple more bigger TVs put up on, or maybe do a projector like this and project it to our screen. So we're trying to come up with new ideas of what we can do for projecting the information for bingo.
Are you looking to get that in this year's budget, or?
It would have to be a supplement for this year's budget.
Okay.
So what I need from you is approval to go to council for supplement funds for a new bingo system.
Do I hear a motion?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion. Hearing none, let's go roll call again, please.
Jay?
Yes.
Tanya? Wendy?
Yes.
Cole?
Yes.
Sarah?
Yes.
Christie?
Yes.
Al?
Yes.
Jan?
Yes.
Citizen input. I don't see anybody coming to the podium, so let's go on. Does anybody have any comments or questions that they need to ask these gals? You know, we can use citizen input to do that too. I think we're probably pretty good at asking questions, and I hope everybody's reading the information that's coming out. So, all right, let's go on. Department report and updates.
The Palace Transit one is in your packet. We have both February and March in their packet. Obviously, rides are busy and going well, and we haven't seen any slowdown at all.
Okay, no questions? Let's go on to adult nutrition. And let me tell you, we have some really good meals if you folks don't stop once in a while just to check it out. Trust me, we have really good food. I am probably one of their best customers because I don't like to cook for myself. So,
Yeah, Jay eats about every day. Yeah, in our packets, we have March and April as to where we are, and like we talked about, the end of May will be the end of this fiscal year. So you can see to our projections that we are up 2,068 meals so far for the year, and that's with Parkston not serving for half the month last month. So I think we're doing pretty good there. And we're up compared to last year at this time too, so. Dine card's still going good. Coburn struggled for a while, but they're back on, and second meals are still going great.
Are you getting those better again?
Yeah.
The frozen meals?
Yeah.
Just curious, I know for a while there we
Amy's
had.
gotten really good at ordering way.
We are not getting them any better. I just have to
Okay.
predict like 3 months in advance what I might need 3 months
Amy's
later.
using her crystal ball.
and I
Good
don't
deal.
care how much Windex you put on that crystal ball, it never shows up very good.
You know, we told the state that too when we were working for when we were working on the amendment. I said, if we had a crystal ball, we'd have a better idea, but we just don't have that.
Mitchell Volunteer Program.
Volunteer program, once again, it's just a kind of a list of some of the things the volunteers do, and we're always looking for new volunteers and new opportunities.
We recently helped out with the bike rodeo that was downtown with Mitchell Public Safety. That was a new one we've never done before. That was fun.
Question, comments? The community center itself, what's going on there?
We
I
can
know we
put-
got a new roof on the entry here a while
Yes,
back.
we did. We got a new roof out in the entryway from an insurance claim. The backside has gotten the new riprap, or whatever they want to call, rocks to put down to help with possible flooding. And just the other day, I landscaped the south side of the building too, so if you want to drive by and see my nice rock work, we got that done. And Kim has put together a report of the different activities and events that she's held. We have another pool tournament, we had a pool tournament, we have another one coming up here next week. Our pool players, they love their tournaments, it works out, it's fun. We have different Wednesday Wellness people coming in. The fundraiser, she just finished another fundraiser with another quilt. We had Afghan and doilies that were donated, and we came up with $168 from these doilies that were donated. We have a spring bus tour coming. Big event that we had was the mayoral candidates forum, and that was ran by our members. JP Skelly, who is a member, he's the one that moderated. Ruby Pattison, who's also a member, she was our timekeeper. It was very well attended, and we had great comments about it. It was very smooth. There was no controversy, arguments. It worked out very well.
A lot of folks were there.
Yes, it was full.
It was full.
Yep.
We served a lot of meals that day too. It was great.
Questions or comments? Next meeting.
Next meeting is July 11th.
Anything else to come before this body at this time? If not, we are adjourned. Thank you.
Thank
for the
you.
Good updates.